Perfect. All right, so this week is yesterday. Yesterday was officially International Day of Yoga, which is like Father's Day, Mother's Day. I always say it's the birthday of yoga. There is no Mr. Yoga, but the birthday was a lot longer ago. But in 2014, 2014, the United Nations negotiated a day so we can celebrate or maybe remember and acknowledge also the history and where yoga actually comes from, because it's become quite mainstream. Lots of people practice yoga. Not everybody knows that it's a very ancient, very old Indian practice. For them, it's also linked to their religion. For us, I think a lot less. But what it means for me, it's apart from the charity event which I organize on Sunday, it's an opportunity to take a moment to reflect what yoga means to me. And to me, it obviously means a lot because it's my work, it's my purpose, it's my husband. I'm with my husband in a yoga studio. Most of my friends do yoga. So I want to suggest to just take a moment, whether you've just started yoga, what it's gifted you, and just see what images or memories come up. So let's close our eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath in and a nice breath out. And in gratitude from an open heart, maybe just go into that space of, hey, why do I come to the yoga mats? Some people come for the physical benefits, strength, flexibility, moving your organs, learning how to breathe. Others come for the physical and the mental parts of the practice. We get an opportunity to observe our minds and broaden our awareness. For me, it's also very much a place where we can learn how to feel. We connect with our senses. A felt sense experience, because we reside in our heads a lot. I can't really put a percentage to it to actually realize how much of the time I'm in my head and where my head is dominant, trying to figure things out, analyze things, make sense of things, figure things out. So this is also a place where we can feel, acknowledge our emotions, and that we are allowed to feel. And for others, there's also the spiritual layer. That's also very personal. Spirituality, self-development, self-growth, connecting to the divine, connecting to your own inner voice, connecting to the voice or the calling of your soul. Let's sit here quietly and maybe just with a grateful heart, realize what yoga means to you. What is your yoga? Is there maybe a word that it's difficult to pick? Or maybe there's 2 or 3 words that come up in your mind to describe the benefits or the gift that yoga is to you. You may place your hands in front of the heart, a gesture of gratitude, an acknowledgement of all the teachers that came before us that have passed on the wisdom, this ancient wisdom of yoga, and it's still around. The fact that it survived, and it was yoga even through the British, when they were ruling India, it was forbidden. Ayurveda was forbidden, so it survived. It kept its strength, and it's still there for us, and it will keep going. To all the yoga practices, our self-care moments on this beautiful piece of rubber, which is actually such a sacred place. I'm grateful for this moment right here, right now, where we get to practice yoga, yin yoga. Have the time, very privileged to have the time or gift ourselves that time to practice self-care. Thank you for being here. And let's start on our backs. So I'll demonstrate different variations. So with yin, we can use drops, and it's just to play around with the variations of the shape. And it's more like, oh yeah, this feels good to me, or hey, I need a little bit of support. It's not necessarily like, oh, the word support can be nice, but it's also like, oh, I just want to experience things differently. So I'll first show it without any props, because Alina as well doesn't have any props. If you have pillows there, Alina, you can also just use pillows from your bed. So this is just the Baddha Konasana. Now the variations are simple without blocks, is that you can choose how close to bring your feet. So I prefer to put little blocks on the side of my knees. You can also put pillows, just so they have a bit of support. Another option is to place something under your heart, which opens you more through the lungs and the heart. So we're also working with energy spaces here, not just the physical body, also the energetical body, the emotional body. Yeah, so take a moment to settle in. Are you warm enough there, Roxy? Yeah. Good. Yeah, we don't need to heat it today. If you have a block under the heart, just make sure your neck is happy. I have to just place something under my head. Alina, I'm not sure if you have my face. I do think I've shared it with you in the past. But I'll share it with you anyway. On WhatsApp. So maybe just and now you breathe slowly into the heart. Soften your jaw. And with every exhale, just let go of today, of whatever this day brought you, whether it was very joyful or very challenging, it's in the past. What can you soften and let go of? Follow the breath. So one of the things we do in our yin practice is to stay still. The yin energy, the energy of being. Might feel uncomfortable if you're not used to it. If you're a doer, I am a doer. And most of our Western culture is very doing focused. It's almost a reward if you do a lot. You're a better person, and it's a belief system that we've created for ourselves. But it's good to question that. Energetically, to live static, that means balance. It's important to counter the doing with being, the slowing down, the grounding, and the stillness. I'm going to be still for the next 3 minutes, and I'll let you know when it's time to move. And I'll just be still and breathe. We deepen and slow down our breath. Breathe into the heart, let it blossom, rise, and then soften. Take around 3 to 4 more rounds of breath. And if you want to use your hands to close the knees, if you have a block under your heart, you can roll off it. You can even stay on your side for a moment. And the next shape will be seated, but transition slowly. You can almost feel a little lazy and lethargic in this practice. Lots of props going on. And then we'll come into cow face. So you can bring your right knee in front of your left. Now, cow face is a pose that doesn't suit everybody. So I'll show you, but I want you to be careful. So I don't want you to just go sit down now. Just feel, if you can, maybe you need a prop. And maybe you'll stop here and go like, no way that I can sit. Then in that case, I would suggest half cow, which is much safer for the knees and hips for most of us, if you're not very open, which is to extend the bottom leg. Just a little warning. So from here, you open the feet. Maybe you can sit straight onto the floor in between the heels, or maybe you want to sit on something. Nice. Then I like to be as symmetrical as possible. So I noticed that my, well, it would be your right bum is quite close to the right heel. So I'm like going to look at my body and try to make it as symmetrical as possible. Then manually you can rotate the thighs a little in. That helps the hips. How does it feel, Roxy? Yes. Is it good? We actually, all three of us have open hips because it doesn't often happen that everybody in class can do this. I'm not sure about Alina. She's got her camera off, which is totally fine, but I gave you the options. Hey, Alina. And then from here, you can just look at the bottom knee, which would be your left, right? Yes, your left. Yes, it's your left. Put that hand first, and then your right hand on top. And now lean a little bit backwards, and you'll notice that the knees lift, right? As soon as no, if you're not maybe. And your knees, do they lift a little bit? All right. So without, you kind of find the seesaw moment where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm sitting up nice and straight. But there's no effort. Now, even though this might be accessible to us today, doesn't mean it will be accessible and nice and easy for, hey, that's interesting. I've never seen that before. Changed the screen. Looks pretty cool. Okay, just to keep track of our time. breathe. When we're halfway, there is an option to come forward. I just love this upright position. Almost with every breath, it's like, okay, there's a balloon in my body and I don't move, but it's just like this. Up and away from the lower body, or the lower body stays grounded while the upper body almost feels light through the breath. We do not force anything in our yin, well, not in any of the yoga practices. So move out if it gets too much. We start with 7 out of 10 from a sensation point of view. And then time and the stillness, just being here, will maybe create an edge for you where you go, oh, my physical body is telling me that it's challenging. Or maybe it's sitting still. Take a couple of breaths when that happens. See if you can stay, or if you need to move out, you'll probably either come back on the knees and then unravel your legs and come onto your back, or in child's pose. This is your practice. Now, I'd love to share the global International Day of Yoga theme. It's like a bit of a philosophy, a Hindu philosophy, and I really don't remember the Sanskrit, so it's quite complicated. But the translation of the mantra or the wisdom that was shared this year was union. Yoga also means to unite, to yoke. And the sentence in Sanskrit was really translated as one earth, one family, one future. One earth, one family, one future. All races, all colors, all ages, all sexes, no division. What a beautiful dream that we can, in our words and our thoughts and our actions, contribute to that dream. Lean towards union, including rather than excluding. What does it mean to you, union? Union with your community, union with your country, union with the different people that specifically in South Africa are here. We are equal in our existence. Union with nature. We are Mother Earth. She carries us. It's our responsibility to take care of her. She's a mirror, she's a reflection. Stay with your breath. And then for the last minute and a half, you can stay or walk your fingers forward and just kind of bow. Maybe your hands walk forward to a point, maybe they go a little wider, and chin to chest. Each movement, each subtle movement of the body, the weight of the head, the hands and the shoulders have an impact on the rest of the body, physically, but also energetically. There's a humbleness to a bow. Breathe into the back of your neck, softness into the back of the heart. Soften the shoulders, stay with your breath. A little harder to breathe here probably. Or harder to breathe slowly and deeply. 3 more rounds of breath. And then slowly roll up. Some people like to come backwards, lift the knees and unravel. Some people like to come forwards onto the knees and then unravel. Oof. Often when we come out, we feel it a little, so you can come into hands and knees, maybe wiggle your tail. Good, and then from there, you can come onto your tummy for a Sphinx pose. Let me clear my mat, so I've got some space. Oh, I forgot my bolster, but I don't really need it today. So onto your tummy, and then press onto the elbows. I like to wiggle my tail. The reason being that I don't want my feet, toes to be out and heels in. So almost when I wiggle, I again rotate the thighs a little in. So I like shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. The knees come a little bit closer towards each other. The heels can even fall out a little. That's the lower body. And then from here, depending on where you place your elbows, it has an effect on the lower back. Some of us have more sensitive lower backs. So if you feel that there is a bit of sensitivity, you bring your elbows further forward. And then the last thing you could do is to create a support for your head. Could also be a block. And if that block is a little rough on the edges, you can put a little, like your clothing over it. If you feel that it will, the print is a bit, make it as comfortable as possible, because the discomfort will come often with time and with certain shapes. Close your eyes, breathe. And now you can breathe into your bum. I know that's a little weird, but we try to imagine, or maybe you really feel it, that your lower back and your bum can rise and fall the same way your belly and your chest can. Which actually, I say imagine, it's because we just don't focus on that very often. Often when we breathe, we focus on our belly and our chest. So that relationship has already been cultivated and exists, that body-mind connection, body-mind-breath connection. Can you pay attention to the back of the body? Of course, there's also an expansion in the front. Can you also feel it in the back? Now, these practices are good for the physical body, but for a mental point of view, it can really help when we are a bit anxious or even have thoughts that just seem to kind of hand us. Here on your mat, you're safe to have the thoughts and to let them come and go like the clouds in the sky. Conscious living is paying attention, consciously pausing and going, hey, wait a second. Let me just reflect. Introspection. Could be a person, could be an activity, could be Mother Earth. And this week it's about yoga. Maybe remember the places where you've practiced, the people that you've met along the way. What styles of yoga you've done. Maybe you've been to festivals or yoga holidays. And it's also very common that the yoga practice initially finds you or you find it, and then kind of isn't as regular, but the mat keeps calling us back, like, come. Let's have that inner conversation, that inner dialogue. The body is craving for care. Breathe. How often are we awake with our eyes closed? Not very often. So just that allows us to take the outer world out and focus on us. And that's not egoistic. It's just a matter of letting life be digested and integrated. and filling your own cup. And from that place, we can connect safely and authentically with others. Soften your jaw. Stay with your breath. Notice when the mind starts to think about other things. And just go, hey, hey, that wasn't the agreement. Let's breathe. We're still breathing, but we're just for a moment lost conscious breath, which is very human, which is very normal. Ooh, little yawn. That's also the body's coming into a rest and recover mode. Totally fine. A sigh, always welcome. Couple more breaths here. And one last breath. And then remove the block if you've got one under your head. And just come onto your tummy. You can place your arms next to your body and just choose a cheek. Take 3 rounds here. Notice which side you're looking. Maybe make a mental note of it. That is your preferable side. So if you're a belly sleeper or whatnot, then probably most likely you'll sleep like this. And in a sense, I mean, sleeping is not yin yoga, but you can imagine what it does to the connective tissue if you are faced like this for like 8 hours at night or 4 hours at night. So now turn it around and see how weird that feels. Habits in even in our sleeping determine the shape, the subtle shape of our bodies. If we are more stiff or more open on one side to the other. 2 more rounds of breath. Let the belly rise and fall. Let the lower back rise and fall. Let the sides of your waist rise and fall. And then you can just keep your head there. I know that you'll be facing the wrong side. But just turn into your back, and I'll try to be as clear with my instructions as possible. You will need your belt here. So come onto, it's just easier, then you don't have to do extra movements. And then figure 4 your right ankle on your left thigh. Lift your left foot and bring the belt over your left foot. If this is too much for you, for your hip, then you can just let the foot, you can just grab the thigh actually. And some people, if that is too much, you can use your belt around your left thigh. But otherwise, you lift your left foot up to the sky and you bring the belt around that left foot. Make sure your right ankle is under your left knee so that you're not pushing with the right ankle on your knee joints. Let it be below that. Yes. Are you okay there? Good. A soft flexing of your right foot. A soft flexing of the right foot. That's the foot. That's it. That's it. All right. Anything that is inverted, as we call it in yoga, upside down, just changes things around. And this is again a hip opener. Soften your shoulders and your neck and breathe. A last adjustment that might feel good to you as well. I'm just talking through my little subtle movement. Is a slight tuck of the chin. So I lift my head, tuck my chin in just a little, and that gives that lovely length in the back of the neck. And then it's just breath. Breathe down towards your hips. So almost imagine that your whole chest, from the hips to the shoulders, is empty. There's lungs, but there's just, like you say, one big lung. There's no organs, there's nothing. You just breathe. fully into that beautiful open chest of yours. And you breathe out. I am Earth. I am your family, in a sense. The family, the word family is obviously defined different. We are not blood family, but we are family in the sense that we are family of the human race. We are the future. We are connected. What I say, what I do, even I believe what I think has an impact on you. You can sense. And of course, we're humans, so sometimes we think bad things, and sometimes we say something like, oops, I could have said that more gracefully. But that awareness is already a step towards lighter energy, less toxic energy. And anything we allow ourselves to do, for example, gossip or talk negative about someone, is in a sense a permission for someone else to do the same about you. And I always try to remind myself of that. Specifically in a group, in a community, you know, if I can speak bad about my neighbor to my other neighbor, then they can speak bad about me together. You know, it's just an energy exchange. It makes sense. One earth, one family, one future. Stay with your breath. Can you breathe all the way up towards your armpits, as if there's little balloons under your armpits that you fill up, or to the pockets of your hips, all the way down towards your groin. Maybe there's some tinkling in the left foot, could be. Remember, you don't have to stay here. You can change your variation. They are all just suggestions. Three more rounds of breath. And then gently let go, unravel the feet. We often feel the effect when we move out, and place your feet hip width apart. And just for a moment, check in with your right side of the body, maybe the right leg compared to the left. Do they feel different? The one may feel longer or heavier or lighter. Yeah, make sure you stay warm. If you guys get cold, I can always get the heater. Huh? Let's see how we go. From here, we move into one of my favorite poses, which is supported bridge pose. You can take a block or a prop or a pillow. Alina, if you have a prop or maybe you just have a pillow. So if you online, if you don't have yoga props, one of the easiest yoga props to create for yourself is to put two pillows in one pillow sheet. It makes you just fat pillow. It's a wonderful way to just work around not having yoga props. You can also use books for this, by the way. If you have two big books, place it under your hips. You can feel the sun is setting. Why do I love this pose so much? Well, it's a feeling. But I also know that it's an inversion. So the hips are higher than the heart. And the heart is higher than the head. Remember that in less is often more. We want the body to be able to soften and relax. If you feel that your toes are out and your heels are in, maybe just toe heel, the heels a little bit out and the toes a little in, rather that than the other way around. So if you're not sure, rather just turn your toes a little in. Hips higher than heart, heart higher than head. Physically, a nice stretch for the hip flexors and the psoas. Your organs are upside down in a sense, in a slight angle that they're normally not. And this morning, I love reading the Daily Stoic because I love all spiritual things, sometimes considered la things. And then the Stoicism is the philosophy that's very rational. It's to connect with my heart, my spiritual side, my third eye, but also with the mind. And this morning it stated something about doing the same thing in the same way and then expecting a different result. And it always is such a simple phrase. But yeah, if you do the same thing in the same way, you'll get the same result. So that's kind of an inversion. It's an upside down, turning things in a different way, letting the body experience things from a slightly different angle. And for me, symbolically, it also represents being open to a different perspective. When we turn ourselves upside down, the whole world looks different. Stay with your breath and let the breath calm you down. Notice sensations, interesting sensations in the body mind. Maybe your toes, maybe the back of your hips, whatever. Otherwise, just follow your breath. You determine the height. Breathe. Go inside, past the threshold, so the outer world is there. Listen to the place deep within. Where you don't have to be anyone, you don't have to play any roles. Just divine energy, just you being you feeling into you. Sighs are welcome. Yawns are welcome. Breathe. To yoke, to unify, to work together rather than against each other. To hold hands, to ask for help, to give back. To live in abundance rather than competition and not here to fight each other. Ultimately, that then comes down to love. Loving yourself, loving others. Breathe. A little bit more than one. Because it's one of my favorite poses. Maybe you're not, but each pose brings up different things for different people. And when you're happy, then it's One more deep breath in. And a nice sigh out. Yeah. And then slowly you'll notice, just have to press your feet into the floor a little bit to remove your blocks, and then bring your pelvis down towards the floor. And again, just feel. This is called a rebound, a kind of moment in between. What part of your body is drawing your attention? Is it your feet, your knees, your legs, your hips, your heart? What is kind of saying hello? Are you noticing me? What is the place where you feel most sensation? And then just sway your knees very gently from right to left. Nice. I love taking the ones. Means that we are already preparing our central nervous system. We're regulating our central nervous system to calm down, which also increases sleep. Let's do the figure 4 on the other side. Left foot on top of your right knee. Option to use the belt. You might be surprised that it feels very different on this side compared to the other side. We look symmetrical, but we are not. One hip might be opener, even the back line of the body, depending on whether you are right-handed, left-handed. If your right foot tends to always step forward when you initially start to walk. It's fascinating. I find it fascinating how we just assume that we are symmetrical. And when I take that a layer deeper, I'm like, yeah, but I only have like, well, I have 2 kidneys, but 1 liver. So if my liver is a bit tight or tired, that will pull to the tissues around it, which will pull towards the ribs on that side. So that will pull my body a little bit inwards. It's super subtle, but it's like, interesting. Or your large intestine, that is a sensitive place, then it will create more attention to the lower part, the left side of the belly. Even our ears and our eyes, the fact that one eye or ear might be functioning better, creates a different reality. How we turn our heads, like always kind of the same side. I have, my right ear is a lot less than my left, so I sleep on my left ear, so then I don't hear at times. Actually, not as good. But it does mean I'm almost always sleeping on my left side. And then sometimes my husband and I even change sides of the bed. It takes about time again to do that. And it's really good for your habits. It's actually really good for your brain. To have the books on the other side, to have the lamp on the other side, to sleep on the other side, and even getting up on the other side. There is a theory that if you walk from, let's say, home to school or home to work, or even cycle or drive, that we are such animal habit that we would take the same route. We would walk if there's 2 sides of the street, we walk on the same side, and consciously changing it around is good for the brain. Also avoids like dementia and things like that, but it's very interesting to watch our habits. So with your breath. Time stands still, and you just let go of the concept of time. We can be in each breath, in each sensation. This ladies only today, both online and offline. Lovely. Soften your jaw. Couple more rounds of breath here. Three more. Gently let go. It was a lot harder on the left hip compared to the right. Left feet down. Right hand on the tummy, left hand on the heart. And just take 4 or 5 rounds of breath here, slow and deep, all the way in. All the way out. If one gift that I'm in the list, when I start thinking about the gift that yoga has gifted me, it just keeps going and going and going. All the moments, the memories, people, obviously because it's also my work and my purpose, but for myself, you know, the connection to breath, the understanding and acceptance and loving of my body, not everything, we're all human, but at least that awareness, the balanced living, healthy living, self-care for body, mind, heart, soul. It's okay to prioritize that. It's okay to prioritize myself, my well-being. But the breath, oh, the breath. If you just feel a little anxious, you take a minute to find stillness and breathe. It shifts. You've got one more shape. I haven't forgotten. You can roll it to the side. And then bring your left knee in front of the right. And here it's very common that we assume that we're just going to be as happy, well, happy. We were all happy. Lots of people are not happy in this shape, but just take it easy. Listen to the body. Go as if you don't know where you're going, and just feel like, are my knees okay? Remember, a block under your bum is an option, or otherwise extending the lower leg, so we can have both sit bones, and you can feel if the sit bones are equally on the floor, and be honest with yourself, because we have our eyes closed. So it would be a little bit silly to do something that actually doesn't feel good to the body. And then it's I'm going to rotate the side in the middle. And then it's that leg, so that's left for me, it's right for you, and then the other one on top. Yeah. Timer, I forgot my watch today, so I'm just using the timer on the phone. Close your eyes. Breathe. Yesterday, someone in class said yoga is home, is a coming home to myself. It was beautifully said. We can always come back to ourselves. The outer world will demand, and we think that it thinks all of things about us, but the outer world will be there, it's complex. And yes, the inner world is also complex, but it's home. You can come back to yourself. And I feel it is a beautiful way. And that sense of belonging to yourself, wherever you go, there's always a home, which is your breath, your body, your mind, your heart, your soul, and your spirit. And then we don't have to fit in. We can just belong to ourselves. And from that place, it's also easier to find people to belong to that are similar to you. Once we know ourselves a little better, our likes, our don'ts, our weaknesses, our strengths, what makes us fully alive, and do more of that. Yoga makes me feel alive. I have literally, I've never stepped on my mat and regretted it. That I went like, oh, I should not have done that. Every time it's a little gift. And accumulatively, it's a massive gift. Soften your jaw, maybe a little bit of space between the top row of teeth and the bottom row of teeth. Soften your shoulders, let them kind of melt away from the ears. And follow your breath. You can do that leaning forward if you feel like doing that on this side. Maybe you did do it, maybe you didn't do it, doesn't really matter. Just feel into this moment and this breath. How much do you want to draw your chin in? How heavy do you want your head to pull? The weight of the skull and the head. Breathe into the back of the neck, into the place between your shoulder blades, the place in the back of the heart. We are running a little bit late. So Alina, online you are at home. So if you want to have a long yummy shavasana, I would suggest to maybe put an alarm for like 10 minutes. You don't have to say goodbye to us. We'll just, do our thing. If you want to leave the meeting, leave it. If you want to leave it on, I'll close it in a while. Because it's such precious time. We'll obviously need to pack up and go, but you're at home. So maybe you want to just take a nice long shavasana with your dog, or take some time to journal and linger in this energy that you've cultivated for yourself. Extend it as much as you want. 3 more rounds of breath in this shape. We won't be more than 5 minutes late. Remember, you can come out by coming forward or back. That's totally up to you. And then make sure you're warm for your shavasana. Pentacle, it's called in yin. Why do we call it differently? Just because the energy of yin yoga is different from the energy of yang yoga. Totally surrender. The slow breath into the nose. Soft breath. Start to maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes. Notice how you feel. A stretch out, a yawn, it's all okay. A pointing of the feet, a flexing of the feet. And in some moment you can just create a little ball of yourself and come onto your sides. And just stay there for a moment. How do I feel? Once we tap in more and more with how we are feeling, what we are thinking, what we are aware of, life also becomes a little easier. The complexity stays, but we just find these tools to cope and manage and flow through life, the highs, the lows, the challenges, and getting to know ourselves better and better and better. We can come up to a seated position, cross-legged or kneeling. The yoga practice is there for us. And I find myself that I practice on days that life is quite easy, but I'm mostly grateful that I did practice and that I've created this muscle almost when life is a little bit more challenging. I'm like, oh, I've got the tools, but I had to practice those tools of meditation, of regulation, of integration, and also expressing through journaling, just understanding the deeper layers of my being. So thank you for being here and for kind of celebrating this beautiful International Day of Yoga. One day late, but it's the whole week. From my heart to yours. Namaste. Yum, yum. Yoga zombies. En een perfect. Jo.